Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another video. Today I want to talk about an article for Dead City and the Walking Dead world as a whole that Screen Rant did with none other than the creator, or not so much the creator, but the showrunner of Walking Dead, Dead City, Daryl Dixon, all of it, talking about, of course, the just very choppy timeline that we have and any possibility of any crossover events down the road. And of course, Scott Gimple, I know that he doesn't have a plan, or if he does, he's not willing to attack that plan or bring it to fruition anytime soon. But at this point, he is just basically keeping us on the hook like a chick would to some guy that wants to be more than friends. And she's just like, maybe someday, but just not right now. And that's just kind of the vibe that I got from this. He's just really just leading us on, stringing us along, hoping that we will stick around and hoping to just get as much money as possible from this franchise before it's just flat out dead, which it's definitely heading in that direction where people don't they don't watch it anymore. I mean, a lot of people walked away from it many years ago. People got sick of it, and I mentioned in my last video where the last big spike that we got was from the Rick series. But after that was over, people walked away again. And the only reason people like myself and a lot of others that I've seen out there, the only reason we're still sticking around is the hope that Rick will show back up again and we will get that wrap up finale type thing where they cross all these back over and they call it a day. But it doesn't seem like it's going to go that way anytime soon. So he's just out there, just keeping hope alive just a little bit, just enough that people will stick around and continue to watch the show. But he is not going to bring this to a close anytime soon, which is just, increasingly frustrating and annoying. And at this point, I don't know why I continue watching it. I mean, yes, I would love to see Rick come back, but I just don't see it happening probably for years at this point. I mean, Andrew Lincoln's not made a peep about it. There's been no discussion or no, interviews or anything leading in that direction. And with Comic-Con coming up in less than a month, or just maybe just about a month exactly, there's been no talk of any Walking Dead panels or anything like that. But then again, Daryl Dixon season 3 is premiering in the fall, but we've not even gotten word whether or not Dead City is going to get renewed for season 3. I've heard rumors that it's in pre-production now, or it's in those beginning stages, but there's been no official confirmation considering that the showrunner, Eli Journey, is leaving after the second season and going to do another show, and they're going to bring someone else in who I guess does have history with the franchise, but we can see from, past situations like this, with a new showrunner comes a new vision. And so I'm that's just really what's got me to the point where I don't think they're going to go anywhere that's going to be any significance or any kind of closure related type thing. But with this article, Screen Rant, of course, goes on to ask the following. It says Dead City has the luxury of being a show that is the furthest ahead of its timeline. And of course, Scott Gimple jumps in, says, I'm going to jump in here. I would like to talk of the timeline outside of the premise or the story unfolding on screen itself is all speculative. Is it that far ahead? Someone might say, well, look at Herschel, and I'd like to be, well, look at Carl. I would like to say the timeline of The Walking Dead occurs in somewhat of a dreamlike space. So kind of stopping right there, that we can kind of agree on, where the timeline has always been kind of messy because of, the fact that the whole space of like the first through, fourth or fifth season, or maybe a little bit even beyond that, when they're really in Alexandria and whatnot, that's in the Walking Dead world, that was only a few years. But we saw that, of course, Carl had aged from about age 11 when he first started the show until 18, 19 before he was killed off the show. And so that was kind of little things they used to kind of explain those things away. But continuing on with this article, the Screen Rant says, given that the loose timeline, then are you talking about integrating any kind of spin-offs? Could Maggie and Negan travel to see what Daryl and Carol are up to? Scott Gimple says, I've said over and over that my dream for many years, the plan all along in many ways has been to see these characters cross, whether it be in small or big ways. There have been circumstances, timing, all sorts of things, network wishes, even that got in front of a little bit over the years. That said, these shows have been establishing themselves, and that's a great thing too. So I guess I'd say I'd love to see it. So really, he told us nothing. And that's what's just really infuriating about any interview he really does. I mean, other than the fact that he's in charge of The Walking Dead, any interview he does, he just sprinkles that, that little bit of hope. So people will continue to stick around, people like me that are just completely hell-bent at this point to see it come to, a conclusive ending where he just is every time he does an interview, he's like, well, I don't want to talk about it, or I have ideas, or just, just keeping us on the hook. That's just the best way to describe it. And it's just, the worst kind of show running that I've ever seen in my life, where they just won't come out and say, yes, we have stories in place, we're talking about it, it's being discussed and all that, where he is just like, maybe, we'll see. I don't know. And just very nonchalant about it. And it's just, I'm just about over it. I mean, I would love to see this all wrapped up in a very, climactic way, but it just doesn't seem like it's going that in that direction. And at this point, it's going to be years, because there's already talk about Daryl Dixon going on for 6+ seasons, which is just, I mean, Daryl Dixon is a strong character, and I love Norman Reedus' portrayal of him. But that being said, this is really, really pushing it. Like, Daryl Dixon, I mean, he served his purpose. He was Rick's right hand man, and he's a very loyal character and everything. But just having him going off on these adventures where there's very random, and they introduce characters, they kill characters, and then they introduce new characters and new stories. And, we all know that with seasons 3 and 4, they're supposed to take place in Spain. They're going to introduce characters, they're going to kill characters, and they're going to move on to a new location where there's been talk of like the Middle East, there's been talk of Australia. There's just all these random ass locations that they're just doing for the sake of keeping the show alive, with no real goal in mind to actually get them back to the Alexandria, Virginia area, Commonwealth, wherever, and just hoping that people stick along long enough to just keep the show going. Because, I mean, ratings themselves are not that great. Yes, the ratings these days are very kind of, I don't know, you can't go off one or the other, because people, you got your people that tune in live, then you got your people that tune in on AMC Plus and different streaming services, or what have you, where it's just nothing is concrete, I guess. And just all in all, it's just really annoying that he's still just doing these interviews where he just won't come out and say it. I don't know if it's because he's signed some kind of non-disclosure agreement, or just, they have absolutely no idea where the story's going from here. If Andrew Lincoln or Denai Guerrero are kind of out there doing their own thing, not saying, will they, won't they come back, because they themselves also tease the idea. So we just don't know at this point, and it's really starting to wear thin. That's just really what I'm getting at. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing. I will leave a link for the article in the description so you can go check it out for yourself. And I guess that will do it. So I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.